I think we're ready. Okay, we got another world record coming up for Evan.
Come on, Evan, let's go, man.
Move the bar fast and move those hips.
On deck, Chris.
Throw those hips, buddy. Come on. Come on. Come on.
Come on, everybody.
Let's go.
Let's go. You've done this lots before.
Come on.
Cool down. Come on. Go. Get up. Yep. Down.
Evan Pittman. To the public eye, he's an average 16-year-old. He gets good grades, he has a girlfriend, and he stays active. What most people don't know about Evan is that he's about to make history. Evan began powerlifting when he was just 10 years old. He set his first world record that year, bench pressing 68 pounds. Since then, he has set 83 world records as a junior Olympic athlete. Evan's journey began in Taekwondo.
I was originally doing Taekwondo actually, and my dad wanted me to start lifting because he thought it would help me get stronger in Taekwondo.
Most moms would be uncomfortable with their 10-year-old powerlifting, and Rebecca Pittman was no exception.
Okay. To be completely honest with you, I didn't initially approve of it because I thought that he was too young to be doing this kind of business. But it was a really nice thing for a father and son to get together. And my husband and my son loved doing it together, and watching them together kind of won me over. But initially I was not that happy about it.
Squat. Come on. Right. Squat. Right. Knees up. Squat.
Having your dad as your coach and trainer is a luxury not many athletes get.
Having my dad as my trainer really helps because, you know, he's there to coach me, but he's also my parent, so he's able to give that, you know, fatherly support that a coach can't necessarily give to you. And also, having my dad as my coach, he understands me a lot more than, like, for example, a regular coach might be able to, which is why, and also we get to bond a lot as father and son when we're doing athletics. So, you know, having him as my coach doesn't just help me athletic-wise, but it helps my relationship with my dad, which I really love.
Start. Press 3. Start. Press 4. Start. Press 5. Start. Press 6. Let it pause. Press 7. Start. Press 8. Start. Press 9. Start. Press 10. Rack.
And think about how proud you are and how great of a kid he's become.
You know what? I don't have time to think about how proud I am. We've got too much work to do.
But what about the medical side effects of lifting so much weight at a young age?
Yeah, I think when you talk about weightlifting, that one of the most common responses that people have is they don't want their kids doing it because they're afraid that it's going to stunt their growth. And it's really one of those misconceptions that are common. When you look at the research on this, it actually shows that it doesn't have an effect on the growth of a child. What affects growth of a child is if their growth plate is damaged.
Certainly that is true, though. If the growth plates aren't injured, then that's when you get a stunted growth. As long as the growth plates aren't injured, then the growth is unaffected by, you know, whatever activities you do. So you always got to be careful. Obviously, as you had talked about earlier, good form is the most important thing you can do, especially when you're lifting heavy.
In fact, we have this family story that we tell where my husband was in Afghanistan and my son was training, so I was taking him to the gym with a trainer, and he had a shoulder injury, and I was very angry about it, and I told my husband, this powerlifting has to stop, blah, 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 blah. I took him to physical therapy, and the therapist said to me, does this child play the violin? And I was like, yeah. She goes, this is not a powerlifting injury, this is a violinist injury.
Just from here, ba-da-da-da-dum. Sure, so it takes a little bit of time for us to get to know each other, you know, in a private lesson type of situation. And when I first heard Evan play, he had a lot of energy, a lot of guts, and he was a hard worker. You could tell right away that his work ethic was just, outstanding. For violin, there's a lot of body awareness going on. You need to understand how your body works, what you're doing. Oftentimes we'll be playing and we don't even realize that we're doing something wrong or right. I tell all my students, practice in a mirror, because it's, or record yourself. It's your best friend. It's going to tell you what you're doing. Find a position that works well for the length of your arms and for your bow. And in a position that your arm is comfortable, you should be straight on the violin.
He plays at his church every Sunday for Mass, as well as his high school. He's taken his musical talents to a national level and even auditioned to play the national anthem at Chase Field for the Diamondbacks.
I thought I did about pretty well. Obviously there's some stuff I could have done better, but I'm pretty satisfied.
A few weeks later, Evan found out he was selected to play at an exhibition game for the Diamondbacks.
The Arizona Diamondbacks and the Chicago Cubs invite you to join in the singing of the Star-Spangled Banner, performed by Evan Pittman. Ladies and gentlemen, Evan Pittman.
Although powerlifting is a big part of his life, Evan and his parents decided he should pursue a sport that offers a potential college scholarship.
After I graduate high school, I definitely want to dive in college. That's definitely a big aspiration of mine.
Diving, you can definitely go, and I think he'd like to dive at university, and I'm going to encourage that. It's good to go to a school and suddenly have a group of friends that you're training with.
For this same reason, Evan's music teacher believes the violin also offers him a collegiate opportunity.
Absolutely. I think that music scholarships are actually very, very there's a lot of them out there, even if it's just a small one. You don't even necessarily have to be a music major to get a music scholarship. I think that schools, especially universities, like to see a lot of diversity in their students, and when they're involved in both sports and the arts, in various fields, that's a really attractive quality. So I think that he's definitely good enough that he could get some type of scholarship if he really works for it.
So let's recap. Evan is a world champion powerlifter, a competitive diver, classical violinist, and he competes in bobsled and skeleton competitions as well.
Part of the training where he'll go to Park City to do skeleton training when there's snow on the ground.
So how does anyone balance this heavy of a schedule?
So he has studies, homework every night. He's in a rigorous academic program. He has violin practice and activities, where he plays violin. He has springboard diving. He's practicing springboard diving 5 days a week. He has his lifting, and so that's usually 4 or sometimes 5 days a week. And then there's occasional other activities, such as academic events or whatever.
It's about how I'm actually doing something really productive with my life. And with the stuff that I'm doing, I could make a living, I can get a job, I can get into college. And I remind myself every day that there's a reason why I'm doing all these things, and that it's not just busy work for me. And so I always remember that at the end it will all pay off.
All right, guys, let's get them pumped up.
Come on, boys. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Come on, bud. Hey, look. Press. Good boy. Racket.
Let's see what they say. That's it. Good job. Good lift.
When you're a high-performing kid and you're on a college preparatory schedule, and when you're doing multiple sports at the same time at a very, very high level, national level in the case of some of it, you're going to be busy. That takes a lot.
Usually I wake up in the morning, I go to school, and then after school I have dive practice for about 2 hours, and then after dive practice I come home and I practice my violin and for about 30 to 45 minutes every day, and then I go to the gym with my dad, work out for about 90 minutes to an hour to 2 hours, usually about 90 minutes, and then I come home and I do homework and I go to bed.
Evan's journey has never been alone. His biggest support group and life managers are his parents. Rebecca and Hal Pittman both come from military backgrounds, and it translates into their parenting.
We have a military background, and therefore we do have a regime. There has to be a certain amount of strictness.
The military background may have something to do with it. Both my wife and I are very, very execution-focused people. So I've coached Evan in Taekwondo. I've coached him in diving. I've coached him in powerlifting competitions. I've coached him in feats of strength in the combine. So when it's come to athletic coaching, I've been involved in all of his activities all the way. His mom, my wife, Rebecca, has been fastidious about ensuring that he has the proper training in violin, the proper lessons, and has the right opportunity to participate at different levels. And although he's extraordinarily competitive, and although he's done really, really well, I think he has unlimited potential, and I don't think he's met his potential yet.
With the help of his parents, Evan is able to have a weekly routine in order to stay focused, but having a girlfriend isn't always something you can mark on a calendar.
It's funny because we talk about that a lot, she's like, you're so busy and I feel like you don't, make enough time out for me, and we have these conversations a lot, and I've explained to her many times about my schedule, and she understands that, but we also have to make time for each other. I have to set aside time for her so I can talk to her and that she knows that I still care about her. But, it's a little difficult on a relationship, but, we make it work.
In the beginning, it was harder for me because, new couples, you always want to be together and lovey-dovey and whatnot. But I guess it was just getting used to it, getting used to a new routine. I'd never really had a long-term or a really serious boyfriend before, but we got to know each other, and I understood that he has a lot of things to do, and I'm there to support him.
It may be hard to believe, but Evan does get some downtime. This year, he was given the opportunity to go to India to do some mission work through his school.
It's funny that you say that because, there's a side of me that's like, yes, I'm finally, going to get a break from reality, and, I'm going to be able to go and experience a country that I've never experienced, a culture and a place that I've never been to before, I've never really known about. But on the other hand, I am worried about, like, hey, what's going to happen if I'm missing all this time and, I'm having this time off from training. I'd But I'm excited about going to India, and I'm excited to experience everything.
I think it's better to be too busy than not busy enough. I think you have to base it on the individual child. If they're interested in being that busy and they're the ones driving it, then I think it's great.
I don't know that I mean, your kids take you in certain directions. Perhaps we helped along the way, but it was Evan's decision to join Taekwondo and become a martial arts fighter. And his desire to win in that led us into powerlifting, which is something that, in the strength and speed training, which he does, which is something that he really, really enjoys. Diving was a sport that he was introduced to as a junior high schooler, which he liked and realized that, it was something that he could potentially do in college and possibly even get a scholarship for. He's played the violin since he was 6 years old. So for Evan, it's really a matter of just continuing to stick to the things that he initially showed promise in, and continue to be very, very focused on doing well at those things.
What keeps me motivated is that, everything happens for a reason. I feel like that if I do push on, that there'll be something good at the end. And I'm hopeful that something good will happen out of this, whether it be getting a college scholarship or becoming the first kid under the age of 18 to get 100 world records in powerlifting. Whatever it is, I know that there's obviously a goal. Whether there's a million goals, but there's always going to be something there as long as I keep pushing on.
Start. Press 1. Start. Press 2. Start. Press 3. Start. Press 4. Let down. Start.
Now, I don't know if I would be able to do that as much, because sometimes it's just like, oh, I don't want to really go to practice. I'd rather just stay home and watch television. I really have to push myself if my parents just stopped motivating me. But I feel like I could make as much of an effort if my parents weren't motivating me as much.
Hal and I got married a little bit later. I didn't have Evan until I was 34. We were 5 years into our marriage, and I knew that this was a marriage I was going to stay in. And I remember after I gave birth to Evan, I said to Hal, no matter what goes on, we have to work it out. We've brought a child into this, and it's not fair. So, we started off knowing that the second you bring a child into a situation, that you have to be committed to the unit, the family unit. But it's just so much easier when things are steady at home, when your parents are in love with each other, and as a kid that your needs are really important to your parents and are paramount for that allows you to succeed. You can focus on your homework. You're having a meal, your parents are going to be there. You can focus on success. So my feeling is parents really need to go into having children with the philosophy is we're bringing a child into this, and we need to remain together as a complete unit so this child can really fly.
So was Evan some God-given one-in-a-generation type kid? His mom actually thinks there could be more kids like Evan in the world if the parents were held accountable.
I believe that all of our children are gifts from God, and you have this temporary time, 18 years, 20 years, in order to, bring about success or to love them, whatever the story is. And I believe that when you die, God is going to ask you, I gave you one of my children, what did you do with it?
A strong family unit goes far, and Rebecca believes her and Hal's job is to set Evan up for success and give him the best home life as possible.
I think the most important thing for Evan is that he knows that we're there for him and that we're united together as a family.
I've worked alongside ambassadors and generals and admirals, members of Congress. I've sat across the table from presidents of other countries, and to this day my wife remains the smartest person that I know.
As a family physician, I see a lot of adolescents. It's a special interest that I have, and I see and counsel families, both medically and for interfamily dynamics and behavioral problems or just a wide range of family medicine. So I understand that that Evan, not knowing him or his family, but from what I've heard, seems to have a very strong family dynamic, and that's probably the key to his success and why he's able to be as successful as he is, because of that family support.
So what about Evan? Does he wish he had a more relaxed life, and is he ever stressed?
When I see my friends, that have very relaxed lives, kind of makes me a little bit jealous, because they have the freedom to go home, do homework, and then watch television or talk to their friends on Snapchat or whatever. And I don't necessarily get that luxury. I don't have time to do a lot of that stuff that a lot of teenagers my age get to do. And I get kind of jealous of people sometimes. However, I think about how I'm actually doing something really productive with my life.
I don't know if he's missing out as much as having an opportunity to do and live a life that not any other person would be able to have. Do I think that he feels a lot of pressure sometimes? Yes. Do I feel like he gets stressed a lot? Yes. I feel that he puts a lot of pressure on himself to succeed and push himself farther to better himself. So it's not always possible for him to just have a lazy Friday afternoon after school and just do nothing, because it's always training, diving, violin, this, that. His schedule is always full.
So let's go 10 here, which is way down. So let's go down.
When Evan isn't lifting 3 times his body weight or serenading the world, he likes to learn, especially from documentaries.
Oh yeah. I love to watch documentaries. That's one thing that I really enjoy. That's one thing I really enjoy doing. Just like when I have free time, I'll just watch documentaries about anything, because I love learning about more and more things, more facts, something that will potentially be useful in the future. So whether it be about learning about the Taj Mahal or learning about Soviet communism and everything, I always try to find a documentary that I can learn more about. It makes, hopefully people will watch it and learn more about my life. I always think that documentaries are about learning and about getting to know different things that you didn't know about before. So it makes me kind of happy, actually.
When I was a kid, I was an athlete. I participated in music. I was, attending advanced academic classes in high school and preparing to go to college, but nothing like Evan is. I think we've been blessed with a kid that likes to please both of his parents. He's, obviously very actively involved in a number of things. I'm happy that he's, done as well as he has in many different areas, and I also see other opportunities for him moving ahead. So I'm just hopeful that we can kind of keep everything on track and moving in the right direction.
Bars ready? National world record judges.
National world record, please see the head judge when you're finished. Let's do this.
All right.
Get him going, guys. Big time, big record here.
Come on, brother.
Right across the back, nice and low.
Squat. Racket.
Let's see what they say.
Yep.
3 lights.
I definitely want to continue powerlifting because it helps me get stronger, it keeps me in shape, and it also helps my diving. So I would like to continue that, and even after college, and even after I stop diving, I would love to continue powerlifting because it keeps you strong, it keeps your bones up, it keeps you healthy. So it's definitely something I want to continue well into adulthood.
His parents are very supportive of him, and they stay on top of him to keep him on track in a good way. They're always there as his support system.
I'm his security blanket, and I get that, but he's 16, and in a very short period of time, he's going to be going to college, and I don't know where he's going to go. He could be, on the other side of the country, and I really need for him to be able to go and stay and succeed. I don't want him coming home and saying, I want to go local because I can't, I don't want that. I want him to, because in order to fulfill your destiny, sometimes you have to go 2,000 miles away. And I want that for him.
You know what? I've spent a lot of time in a lot of different environments, and I think I've seen what it takes to be successful. And having an immense personal will and desire to achieve and to succeed is probably the most important element of success in any endeavor. The person who's willing to work harder than everybody else, that's willing to do the things that other people won't do to achieve success, is the one who's going to win in the long run. And if there's one thing that I can instill in him, I hope that he takes that away and brings that attitude to everything he does, because that one little piece of understanding that what it takes to win, success, driving yourself, if that one thing happens, he will be successful in other things that he pursues. And my job will have been done correctly.